Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Most of us are interested, intrigued, respect astrology, but we only scratch the surface, most of us. We don't know, what goes deeper here and what we can learn about ourselves, learn about the future of our lives. If we go a little bit deeper, like your sun sign, we have sun signs, we have moon signs, we have lots to talk about today. This is way out of my wheelhouse, but she's got it. She's got it under her. This is what she does as a psychological astrologer. So she goes deep, but not deep that we can't understand it. Going to learn a lot. Carmen Turner-Schott is with us. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to, talk a little bit, about the sun signs. Most people listening know what their sun sign is. So it's like the basic personality that we show the world. The sun sign is based on your month and day of birth. So everyone born on a certain day is going to be the same sign, So twins, like I know you said you had a twin, you'll be the same sign, Virgo. So most people know just the basics. When you read in the newspaper about Leo, all that's more for fun. Those horoscopes are just real basic in the paper. But to really dig deep in, there's so much more about each sun sign. And so in a book I wrote last year, it's called Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing, Build Resilience and Transform Your Life Through Astrology. I wrote this book to give healing tips for each sun sign. So I start with Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and every sign has a vulnerable area, a part of the body that they rule. We were talking about in old medical books, Hippocrates and said, a physician that doesn't know astrology is a fool, right? Because that's how modern medicine was invented, because they started realizing people born certain months, certain dates had certain illnesses that were similar. So that's kind of how it all came about. And so Aries, they're born, you're looking at end of March to end of April. So if you're an Aries, you rule the head, the face, the brain, the eyes. So a lot of Aries have headaches and they get migraines and they get head injuries. Okay, that's kind of their vulnerable area. They could, maybe get a concussion if they get hit, knocked in the head. But they always complain about headaches. That is one common thing. I have, I'm a Virgo sun, but I have a lot of Aries in my chart. So we also look at that. And whenever the moon is going through each of the signs, it was really amazing. The last full moon, I think it was Aries, everyone on Facebook, I have the worst headache. Is anybody else feeling? I had a headache for like 3 days. So it affects us all, even, if we don't know it. This Aries energy will play out in our own lives, even if we're not an Aries sun sign. But every Aries, that's their vulnerable area. The head, the face, the brain, the eyes. Taurus rules the neck and the shoulders. So if you know people that are Taurus, a lot of them will say, oh, I carry my tension here, or, oh, I just need a massage. They'll feel real tight and here, and they have jaw issues, teeth, all this stuff, right, is Taurus. The thyroid gland, this is Taurus. And a lot of Tauruses will have, thyroid issues, or just, maybe tweak their neck. I know a lot of Tauruses where they get something where they can't turn their neck. It's like they're doing this and, they can't move it. They get different weird things with their neck and shoulders. And if they get stressed out, that's where it goes. And so they have to learn to relax, maybe get a massage is really good for them to do. Some, anything to stretch, kind of, work those areas. But it's important for them to get their thyroid checked too, because the thyroid gland rules all of the hormones in the body. And so sometimes, Tauruses are also known to maybe have trouble losing weight or gaining weight. Okay. And a lot of this can be with the thyroid, and imbalance is there. I've seen a lot with clients. And then Geminis, they're restless, they're always on the go. They have a high energy. They rule the lungs and the nervous system and the respiratory system. They also rule the hands. So I know a lot of Geminis, when they get allergies or cold, it goes straight to their lungs. Like they'll get a cough. You know what I mean? Where a Taurus, it'll go straight to a sore throat. You know what I mean? When they start getting sick. Or an Aries, it'll go straight to, oh, I got a headache. And then they start getting, fever. And so all the signs kind of have that vulnerable area that kind of gets affected, pretty quick. And
it's amazing how you're doing this. And I'm thinking of people under those signs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, like you say, Gemini, are we thinking a straight out Gemini? Somebody who's a Gemini, but we're talking about a sun sign here.
A sun sign Gemini, yes. And then anyone that has a lot of Gemini in their birth chart, because it's like clockwork. When they get sick or allergies and everything, it goes to the lungs. So they're more prone to getting bronchitis, pneumonia, things like that than other signs, just statistically, from what I've seen working with people, just the basic sun sign alone. I've noticed this.
Let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
Your sun sign, let's say you're an Aries.
Yeah.
You are an Aries, but we're talking about the sun sign. So is it the Aries sun sign, or are we talking about you're a Gemini, but your sun sign is Aries?
No, we're talking about with these vulnerable areas, it has to do with where the sun is, and it's the sign. So Aries is the head, face, brain.
So the straight out
Yes.
sign, you are an Aries. You're probably prone to issues with these areas.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to just clarify, make sure. And that's what I was doing. As you were mentioning, definitely the Aries headaches.
Oh,
I've got quite a few in my world. And then they all say they have, headaches. I never get a headache. Never.
Exactly. Some people never do. And even little kids, like I know this, my friend's little girl, she's getting all these headaches all the time. She's like 6, and they were going to put her on migraine medicine. She was an Aries. I said, that's her area. I said, I would, it could be from dehydration, not drinking enough water. All of us, when we get run down and we don't eat right, or we're going to have health issues in these areas, because that's our sun sign. Right. That's what rules those areas of the body. So she was getting little headaches, and they put her on some medicine, and it helped. But then it came back again, and when she gets stressed out or there's a lot of change, if, travel, she'll get a headache, and then we got cancer. Cancer, it rules the stomach and the breast. So a lot of cancers, they're known to be worriers, just like Virgo. So I'll talk about Virgo here in a little bit, but cancers tend to also get digestive stomach things as well, and could get cysts or things with the breast. That's their vulnerable area, and fibroids, cysts, things like that. And then Leo rules the heart and the rest, the circulatory system. So Leos, the lion, a lot of them maybe have cholesterol, high blood pressure. Those are things that can happen if they get with age, with stress. That's kind of their vulnerable area. Make it AFib. I know a lot of Leos that have a regular heartbeat. They don't have like heart disease or anything, but they have a regular heartbeat. I know a Leo whose father passed away when he was 13 of a heart attack, and his father was a Leo. So it's like, I see this all the time. And in astrology, we learn all about the different body areas and what sign rules each area. It's part of, in my book, Sun Signs, House and Healing, I have all the basics, the dates of each sun sign, what makes you an Aries. You have to be born on those dates to be an Aries, and then what the symbol is, and then the part of the body that is their area, and just the basics, so people can start noticing, oh, that's weird. I do get headaches, because Aries will tell me, oh man, headaches is my thing. I always get them. And then Leos sometimes get heartburn, where they think they're having a heart attack, but it's that acid affects their heart, and stuff like that. And they get chest pain, things like that. And then Virgo, that's us, me and you, we rule the digestive system and the stomach, and ulcers, all of that kind of stuff, acid reflux, all of this, because Cancer and Virgos share that stomach area is vulnerable, because we're the worriers of the zodiac. Cancers are emotional worriers, and Virgos, we analyze and obsess and worry about everything, really, practical things. And, so we have the similar kind of thing,
This is spot on. Everybody I know, especially those who I know, and I know one in particular, she's a Cancer, worries all the time, has anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more of an emotional thing. Um, I was just at the gastro doctor yesterday. Ulcer, got it.
Oh,
It's like,
sorry. Oh,
yeah, it's been around. Sometimes with stress and worrying pops up again, goes away. I think I mentioned last week, Bruce Springsteen canceled his tour. He has a peptic ulcer, and he is a Libra. His Libra sign starts on the first day of Libra, which, if you had
the
said
cusp.
that there's a
Yeah.
cusp, from Virgo,
Oh, yeah.
um, this is
Both
like
ways.
spot on. Press the pause button here because I have a question of
Yeah.
something you said before. And we'll get back to the sun signs and the other and what they mean and where you're affected most. If you are um okay, those astrology things we see online, wherever, you get your horoscope, are they accurate?
I used to write horoscopes for a couple newspapers, the monthly,
Sure.
and what you base it on is the sun sign alone, kind of how each sign's going to be affected by the different things going on, and it's really a creative, fun way because you're just dealing with the sun sign alone. You're not getting into doing a whole deep chart analysis, which is the map of your soul. So it's more for fun, for interest. I wrote them, and they're hard to write, and then they each are, different based on the personality of each sign. That's kind of how, sun sign columnists do it. And
Yep.
it's really, it's not as deep as psychological astrology. Let me just say that it's not what astrology really is. And some people are like, oh, that's hocus pocus. It says the same thing every month for everyone. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, yeah,
Well,
it's for
because
fun.
it's the basics. Like if I were to write my
Yeah.
horoscope for today, whatever. Hey there, Virgo, tap the brakes and slow down. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Why stress yourself out over all of it? It will work out. Blah, 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 blah. So you're just looking at the traits of each sign
Yes.
and then writing
Yes.
some stuff to go along with it.
Exactly. It's just very basic. It's not in depth. It's generalized. That's a good word. It's generalized for the whole every Virgo out there or every Leo out there, right? It's generalized. And there's workshops like how to be a sun sign columnist. I mean, I've seen them, and
Wow.
and and I used to write the columns, and I would try to make them more deep, but it's hard to really do that when you don't have the full birth chart. That's just the sun sign. I
And
mean,
what
that's
we're doing here today with the sun sign and what areas of the body get affected, kind of a generalization
sure.
because we can't go deeper. We don't know each person watching, listening, what their date of birth is, what the time of birth, what the locate, all of that. So we can't do it
Yeah,
like a full transit on them.
exactly. And
Okay.
so just knowing the basic vulnerable area though of each sun sign is in my opinion critical, because working with trauma survivors, working with people that have had a lot of crisis or stress in their life, the mind body spirit connection is real. So our thoughts affect our emotions affect our body, and if we don't move those emotions out or do self-care and try to heal some of these things, that's where it starts manifesting in the body as illness. So that's why I wanted to focus in that on my sun signs book, to give each sun sign tips on how to heal, how to self,
Mm.
and that's what I talk about in the book. All the different areas, things they can do, but more in a practical, deep way. So, like for Virgo, for instance, I'll say, hey, you have to learn that you cannot control everything, because there's things that are out of our control. So I hang the serenity prayer up, is what I do. And when I start, because I like things, Virgos, we like things structured, orderly. We like to know what's going to happen. We don't like chaos. We like efficiency, and when things are crazy, it affects our emotions, and then we start worrying, and then we can't sleep, and then our stomach's hurting. When I get stressed, it goes straight to my stomach. Even
100%. Yeah.
and when I got it, like before I do a podcast or before I brief, like, because I train and I've had to brief in front of like 300 people before at work and different things. Nobody knows I'm nervous because they don't see inside. My stomach is so messed up until I start talking, then it goes away. But up until the moment I'm talking, and then I'm teaching, and I know it and I'm comfortable teaching it, then I'm not nervous. But my stomach is so messed up. If I have anything new, any kind of new unknown, or I got to, do something, a presentation or something live, I get nervous, and it goes to my stomach, and every Virgo I know is that way. I have, my daughter's a Virgo, my husband's a Virgo, and they always say, my stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. I'm like, okay, what are you thinking about? Well, I got to do this new thing, or I got something new at work, or something stressed me. So it's always like their mind, and that's what gets Virgo is their thoughts, because we're thinkers. We're ruled by Mercury. So if we're like obsessing on something and like worried, like, oh my gosh, do they like me, or am I going to do this right, or then our stomach starts getting acid, nausea.
Yeah,
it's immediate. It's like crazy.
It's amazing how all of these pretty much follow along. I've not to focus on Virgo, but
sure.
I've let a lot of that go, a lot of it go. However, the things that are floating out there are other people and their challenges, and I need to help them with their challenges because of our connection. So I take it internally. All the other stuff, schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've let a lot of it go. I'm a reformed Virgo. That's how I say it.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to do the same. I think as we get older, we start trying to take better care of ourselves. We start trying to let go of some of these things that we know aren't helping us. And we're like, oh my gosh, when I look back when I was young, why did I worry so much? Why did, I gave myself an ulcer? I had a Virgo friend that was just so stressed all the time with work. She started losing all this weight. She didn't know why. And she had a bleeding ulcer. And they wouldn't have known until they did the test. And it was really serious. She had probably had that ulcer for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it just got where it was bad. And she had it go on medicine, and it helped. Now she kind of changed her whole outlook on life. She's like, you know what? Work is work. It's going to be there when I get back in the morning. And she really did change. Now she's more laid back and not, trying to control everything and go. And, she's just more relaxed, more laid back of a person. And sometimes you learn that through going through a medical scare, when we know, some of these things. We're like,
well,
you know what?
All of this, I think it comes down to, no matter what it is, whether you're an Aries, Taurus, Virgo, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Listen to yourself. Your body's trying to tell you something. And there's just some things you can't control. So you have to take action on that. And these things, the Aries, and they get headaches. What are you going to do? Make sure you're hydrated. Like most of them, I know an Aries that likes to drink alcohol. Well, it's not good for you. It dehydrates you. Yeah. And then it's, that's not good. My daughter is 15. She's an Aries. All the time with her head. Like, did you drink enough today? Stop with that. Well, that's what the answer is.
You need water. You need water. And then sometimes people are stubborn, and they don't want to, like take Tylenol. Like Aries, if they take Tylenol, it often does help their headache. But I know a lot of them, I don't want to take medicine. I'm just going to tough it out. Well, then it turns into like a migraine, and then they can't be in the dark, in the light, and they have to be off work. And so, Virgo, the stomach, I mean, that's our thing. And then Libra's like the kidneys and the back, the lower back, okay, is Libra's vulnerable area. The kidneys, anything with the bladder, all that stuff. The Scorpio is the reproductive system. Now, I've done a lot of research on Scorpios because it's 8th house. They're 8th house people. They're phoenixes, we talked about. So they rule the sexual organs. Prostate, ovary, cyst, uterus, all of that. Cervix. They rule all of the elimination system, the colon, the bowels, all of that stuff. And so it's really important for them to get, colonoscopies, get, female
screened.
Screening for prostate cancer, all that stuff, and all those all those issues, elimination, because in reproduction, that's in almost a lot of Scorpios. I mean, I started seeing this in the past 25 years. They tell me, I'll start doing their chart. I'm like, your vulnerable areas here. Oh my gosh, I had a cyst on my ovary. I've had a hysterectomy. I had cancer, of the reproductive. So, all these things,
Wow.
come up when I'm doing counseling sessions. And I'm like, that's your vulnerable area. They said, yeah, I wasn't expressing my emotions. I had a lot of anger for many years over a divorce or losing a loved one, whatever. And they knew that it was the emotional connection that caused them to get sick. Like
I
they
would
always,
love to do a connection to Scorpios and fertility issues or challenges. I wonder if there's something
there
there.
is. Oh yeah, there's a lot of research on that. I know a lot of Scorpio women that have had trouble conceiving,
Wow.
have, getting pregnant. Some of them have been able to do in vitro and things like that. And then also I know some Scorpios that have lost children, that have had miscarriages, multiple. So all of those kind of things can be common for Scorpio sun signs. And it's tough because, we all have something, we all have a vulnerable area. But that is tough because sometimes they do have a hard time with getting pregnant, things like that. They can, or they can get pregnant very easily and it wasn't planned. Okay, that too. I've seen that where they
Okay.
thought they couldn't. I've seen it where they've had their tubes tied. They don't think they get pregnant and they get pregnant with their tubes tied. I've seen that with
Never
Scorpios.
thought of the reverse. Interesting.
Yes. They're like,
Wow.
I didn't think I could get pregnant. And they're like, I'm 45. I've seen that where they've said, I've already raised a kid and now I'm pregnant with a baby. So I've seen that too. And then Sagittarius, I know a lot of Sages, my mother and several friends of mine, that it rolls the hips and thighs and the sciatic nerve. I had a friend that's a Sag, sun and moon, all Sag. She used to be a yoga instructor. She had to stop doing yoga because her hips hurt so bad. It would hurt her hips so bad because that's her vulnerable area. And she's like 6'1". She's tall. My mother always has the hip issue. She used to teach aerobics and there was an injury. And now she has to ice her hip every night. I mean, it's that sciatic nerve will go all the way down her leg. That's Sag.
This
That's
is so all right. My best friend is a Sagittarius.
uh,
I was at his place last weekend. And his girlfriend's there, and we're actually playing a card game. And every, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, he gets up and just walks to the door and walks back. I'm like, what's going on? And he didn't say anything. She's like, yeah, his back is I've
oh,
never seen this with him. He is an EMT. He's been doing it, quite a while. And
yeah,
I think it's catching up to him.
yeah,
But, he's nothing stops him. This is,
yeah. He
it's a little bit of a trouble.
lives with it. He probably says, yeah, my hip hurts. A lot of them have to have hip replacements at a young age because it's bone on bone. Sometimes it's just the muscles that get tight on them, on those thigh muscles that go down to the knee. So stretches, I tell them they need to do their sciatic nerve stretches you can do to prevent every night before bed. They tell you bring your knee up. Those are things I tell Sages to do. They need, because they're so active usually on the go a lot, but they need to really stretch and pay attention to get massages and things like that because their thighs and hips are their vulnerable area. And the sciatic nerve, when we get older, it flares up. But then if you play sports, if you lift anything, especially if you're an EMT, like your friend lifting people on cots and the stress of the job itself, it'll flare
There you
up in
go.
the hip,
Yeah. Wow.
hips.
I don't want to, we're just about out of
Yeah,
time. Did we get to all
yeah,
the signs? Or
yeah.
one
We'll
more?
get them. Yeah, Capricorn rules the knees and the joints and the skin, and Pisces rules the feet, and Aquarius rules the ankles and the circulatory system. And so if you think about, Pisces often complain about their feet hurting. Capricorns often complain about their knees. My brother's a Capricorn, my dad and my grandfather. My brother hurt his ACL, tore it playing basketball, senior year in high school, couldn't run his whole basketball thing. He was devastated, And then I have so many friends. My best friend's a Capricorn. She's like, my knees, they're hurting. They're hurting me all the time. And her joints, they get arthritis, that's kind of a Capricorn, knees and joints. And then Pisces feet will hurt. They may get weird things with their feet. I knew a lady that had a mole on the bottom of her foot. She was single and she never looked at her feet. You don't look at your bottom of your feet, right? I mean, and she went to something told her to go to the podiatrist and she did. She had skin cancer on her foot, had to have multiple operations, never knew that she had a mole on the bottom of her foot. She's
and
a Pisces.
Bob Marley. Now I'm going to look back and see when his birthday is, because he died from melanoma on his big toe.
She had melanoma on her foot. Yes, that is so scary because you don't even look at your feet, really.
No, and you would never even think. And most of us think, when you do a body check for sun damage,
yeah,
the bottom of your feet don't get a lot of sun.
And they still get melanoma on their feet. And I knew a lady, and she had to have her whole foot reconstructed, but she's okay. She's okay, and she beat cancer, and she's okay today. But then Aquarius is always sprain their ankles. Like kids that are Aquarius, they'll sprain their ankle real easy, and they're kind of, their ankles are vulnerable area, and then also the Achilles tendon. A lot of them, will tear that Achilles tendon, or it'll hurt. And then the circulatory system again, like, because Leo, this is the cool thing. All of the polar opposite signs that we talked about last show, they all share similar health modalities. It's like a continuum. So the Virgo and Pisces, Virgos might have feet stuff, Pisces might have little stuff, etc. So there's common illnesses with your polar opposite, because that's your compatible element. All earth and water signs oppose, and all fire and air, and you're going to share similar health vulnerabilities with your polar opposite sign.
So I just want to drop in here. My son often complains about his feet. In fact, over the summer, I had to drive, not had to, I'm there for him. He's a camp counselor for the Boy Scouts.
Nice. Yeah.
His shoes were bothering him. I drove like 45 minutes, picked him up, went to a store to get him new boots, and then drove back. He's a Pisces. Bob Marley, we talked about his issue.
Is he a Pisces?
He was born in February, so he would be a...
He could be a Pisces. Depending on what day, yeah, he would be a Pisces. The end of February?
Not, this one is early February, February 6th.
February 6th.
So
he's
be on the cusp.
He's on the cut. Well, he also has the ankles, the ankles, and you said it was his toe, but
be connected.
This is what's cool. So this is the basic sun signs and what area of the body they rule. This never changes. This is like back in medical books in ancient times. So it's always going to be there. But the cool thing is that when you look at your whole chart, there's other things we can look at, like the house of health, the 6th house. We look at your polar opposite sign. We look at, do you have a lot of planets in the 6th house, which maybe Bob Marley had Pisces somewhere, which is feet. It could have been maybe Pisces was on his health house. Okay, that's because whatever signs on our 6th house in our birth chart, that also we could have illnesses of that sign as well.
Crazy.
And transits that go through the 6th house in our transit chart can trigger different illnesses. Okay, so you may not be your vulnerable area, but you might have Saturn going through your 6th house in Pisces, and you're getting feet issues. Okay, you're getting cramps and arthritis in your feet, things like that.
This stuff is fascinating. We're out of time. They're going to shut us off.
Yes.
To find you, if somebody wants to have their chart read and get the deeper insight, more than just going online and reading your daily horoscope, as we said, your website is your name, right?
Yes, CarmenTurner-Schott.com. And I'm on YouTube, Carmen Turner-Schott, Facebook, Instagram, Carmen Turner-Schott author. Love for you to get my sun signs, houses, and healing book. It's a basic guide. The whole intro teaches the basics of astrology, what it all means, what is the planets in a basic way. And you can look up all your friends and family, because I have a chapter dedicated to each of the 12 sun signs.
So cool. Carmen Turner-Schott, and that's SHOTT to find her online. Carmen, so it's fascinating having you on. Love it.
Thank you.
So cool. All right. We'll talk soon. All right.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.